Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charlie Sasinski, the Mayor of Framingham. It's my honor to personally welcome Senator Elizabeth Warren and all of you in Framingham. As many of you know, this is a very historic building, and behind you in the rotunda, there are bronze plaques with the names of more than 2,300 Framingham men and women who perished in wars as of 1928. This building is a reminder to us every day that we have our freedoms because of these men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. As we gather today, we honor their legacy by engaging in meaningful dialogue and working toward a brighter future for all. Many generations have contributed to our community's growth and vibrancy. Framingham's story is woven with the threads of countless individuals from diverse backgrounds who have come together to shape a place we are proud to call home. Let us remember that the strength of our community lies in our diverse voices and shared commitment to progress. In 1994, when former President Bill Clinton visited Framingham, he remarked that Framingham resembled America. This observation was accurate at the time and holds even greater relevance today. More than 70 languages are spoken within the Framingham Public Schools. Currently, for 55% of the students in our district, English is not their first language. Framingham has a large immigrant population who have established businesses, creating jobs, and contributed significantly to the growth of our city's economy. Their entrepreneurial spirit and dedication are testaments to the opportunities that Framingham offers to those willing to work hard and dream big. When you leave this hall today, I encourage you to experience downtown Framingham and visit the Brazilian boutiques, enjoy lunch at a Vietnamese or El Salvadorian restaurant, savor coffee at a Colombian cafe, or a delightful treat from a Brazilian bakery. Your support makes a difference, and it is just a short walk from this building. As our nation gets ready to celebrate its 250th anniversary as a country, Framingham is celebrating its 325th birthday. Earlier this week, the 325th Celebration Committee unveiled a Black History Month exhibit in this historic hall. It is the first such exhibit ever in this building. 17 men and women with ties to Framingham, from Revolutionary War heroes to sports legends to political pioneers to modern-day artists and inventors, are featured. Please take a moment and read about their inspiring stories. Each one helped to shape this community. On the back of the room, you can see some of those posters, and I invite you to take a look at them before you leave today. The building we are in was built to remember and honor the soldiers, sailors, Marines, and nurses of this community. It is due to their sacrifices that we have the freedom to assemble here today. It is due to their sacrifices that we benefit from a free press that monitors government operations. And it is due to their sacrifices that we have the freedom to express our opinions, both in support and against our government. Today, with what is happening in Washington, D.C., we need to think about what we as a community, as a Commonwealth, and as a nation can and should do to shape our future. Our leaders in D.C. need to know that their decisions impact us here in Massachusetts and in Framingham. Thank you to Senator Elizabeth Warren for holding this town hall to allow constituents to express their opinions freely. 250 years ago, people convened in taverns here in Framingham and throughout Massachusetts, expressing their opinions and igniting a revolution. The significance of opinions and the power of voices cannot be overstated. Together, we can continue to build a Framingham, a Massachusetts, and an America that respects its rich history. And now it is my pleasure to introduce one of Framingham's state representatives, Priscilla Sousa, who will introduce Senator Elizabeth Warren. Thank you very much.
Good evening, good afternoon, and welcome. Sorry, sleep deprived. Good afternoon, buenas tardes, y boa tarde. Framingham in the house. My name is Priscilla Sousa, and hopefully most of you Framinghamers in this room know me as one of the state representatives of the state delegation. I'm also a proud Brazilian American. And by nature, I am a social creature. In my culture, we take introductions very, very seriously. And we ensure everyone is well acquainted at the beginning of every gathering. Or as we say in Portuguese, vamos fazer uma sala. So Senator Warren, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to introduce you to the Framingham that I know. A Framingham that took my immigrant family in almost 3 decades ago, 3 decades this upcoming July, and a community that I love fiercely. A community that has a foothold in the history of our country throughout 3 centuries of its existence and carries the best of the potential the nation has to offer. With a diverse, we can clap for that. With tremendous diversity just outside the door, as the mayor mentioned, here in our downtown Framingham and throughout the city. Over 70 languages spoken in our schools. 2 exits on the pipe, thank you very much. And 2 higher education institutions. We have a very active veteran population that keeps our spirit alive, just to name a few. Just along the road to the Boston Marathon, which I hope to run for the 4th time this spring. Many of you, we are home to tremendous diversity in every sense. Racial diversity, cultural diversity, thought diversity. More importantly, as you see here, we have a very active, engaged population eager to ask questions about our local hospital, about our financial, economic future of the average, hardworking American, education, and immigration, to name a few. Now that I've introduced Framingham, I'd like to introduce you to our fearless Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Hello, Framingham! Hello, Metro West! Hello, Massachusetts! Oh, sit down, sit down. Damn, it is good to be not that it's not fun to be in Washington, but thank you all for being here. This is such an extraordinary moment. I know there's a lot you could be out doing, but you're in here because you care. And I'm so glad we have this chance to be together, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a hard time out there. It is a hard time when our federal government is firing the people who are trying to do cancer research. It is a hard time when our federal government, under co-presidents Elon Musk and Donald Trump, are laying off the people who keep our nuclear materials safe. It is a hard time when our co-presidents are firing veterans. It is a hard time when they are trying to bring down our government from the inside. It is a hard time when co-president Elon Musk is out there mowing through every federal database that has all of your personal financial information, in some cases medical information, all of the ways that you can be identified. It is a hard time when that little consumer agency, can we hear it for the CFPB? When the cop on the beat that has discovered more than $20 billion of scams over the last dozen years, shut them down and made the scammers give the money back to the people they cheated. And now co-president Musk wants to shut that down, not on my watch. When co-president Trump thinks that he's going to rule by bullying people, whether those people are immigrants, whether those people identify differently than he does, whether or not those people are the governor of Maine, it's not going to work. So here's the deal. Yes, it is a hard time. I acknowledge that, and we come together to talk about it. We don't have all the tools we want. I get it. Boy, can I count to exactly 47 Democrats in the United States Senate and 53 Republicans. I can do that now. I understand that. But the fact that we don't have as many tools as we want does not mean that we have no tools at all. We are in this fight. So I want to do something today. I want to tell you, just as our topper, we're going to do some questions in a minute, but I want to tell you what I'm working on and what we're all trying to do right now. So part one, what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing in large parts of government is flatly illegal. It's just illegal. It's not like, well, on the one hand, on the other, a big part of what they're doing is illegal, and we are in the courts. We are in the courts, and we're going to fight this out in the courts. That's part one. Part two, right in the United States Senate, we are the ones who are supposed to do advice and consent. Now, like I said, we're at 47-53. These nominees are hard. It's a term of art here, right? They are terrible. We now have someone who's going to be in charge of our Health and Human Services. Yeah, someone who's in charge of the Department of Defense. The Director of National Intelligence. No! So I see you've been reading, right? Let's stand up. You know who these people are. The Republicans are going forward in the Senate with these people. Donald Trump has nominated them going forward. Here's the deal. We're not giving it away for free. They can name horrible people, and maybe we don't have the votes to stop them, but we are not giving it away for free. So when RFK gets nominated, you bet. I try to make clear with my questions. Not only does he traffic in anti-science, traffic in anti-vax, but he's making millions of dollars to do it, and that's not right. When our Secretary of Defense is credibly accused of sexual assault, I managed to pry out the information. He paid $50,000 to hush that woman up. When he's falling down drunk at work events, and when he drove not one but two nonprofits straight into the ground financially, we couldn't stop him, but we didn't give it away for free. So here's how I look at it. With all of these nominees, we're putting a stink on them and making sure the American people see it, and that every damn Republican who voted for him is going to feel a part of that stink. So that's part two, and part three is to try to raise a movement, to do it all across this country. If you see me on TV, if you see me on podcasts, if you see me out in the streets or sidewalks, you understand that's what I'm trying to do, and it's what others are trying to do. Because ultimately, the power is not actually in the White House. The power is not actually in the Congress. The power lies with the people. And that's what we do. So, with that in mind, I know what we need. We've got people in this room. I don't have to tell you not to give up. You don't give up. You're in this room because you weren't ready for this fight. So, I wanted to be here today to ask for three things. You know I always come with an ask. Anybody wants to meet me, oh, Elizabeth Warren, what do you want now? Because that's my job. So ask number one, tell the stories of what this means. Ask number one, that's it. Tell the stories of what it means if cancer research is halted. Tell the stories about what it means if we're going to shut down our national parks. Tell the stories of what it's going to mean if someone who has dedicated 22 years working in public service and just gets laid off. Tell the stories of what it means if you're going to terrorize an immigrant community so that little business owners have to close their doors because people are afraid to be out on the sidewalks. Tell the story about what it means when children are afraid to go to school. Tell those stories. And the reason for that is we are at the moment of developing the national narrative for what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing. It is bad, and we need to tell that story, and I need you to tell it. So that's part one. And by the way, when I say tell it everywhere. Tell it online, do it on Facebook, do it on Insta, do it texting, but also the group you went to school with, your group that you work on, anybody, anywhere around the country. Go on these chats and tell the stories, because this is how, as a nation, we make the voice of people heard. So that's part one. Part two, do not underestimate the value of organizing. Indivisible, God bless us. and many other organizations. I'm all in. One voice is powerful. Two voices is more than twice as powerful. Organizing and getting energy behind it, we keep each other going. So please, organize, get in a group that's organized, work with others, build your own, bring in your neighbors, but come. And then part 3, you gotta take care. These are hard times. And remember how they say on the airplane, adjust your own mask before helping the person sitting next to you? You actually do have to take a deep breath. This is a time when Donald Trump and Elon Musk are trying to undermine our confidence in our ability to be with each other, to make our voices heard, to make this government work. And we have to take care of ourselves. And that's going to be a lot of different things for different people. I have my own. We could talk about that. But with your friends, with yourself, you've got to take care. Because we're not in this just until tonight. We're not in this just until the end of this month. We are in this for the long haul to save our country. So I know it's hard right now. It's hard to maintain focus. There's so much going on. I sometimes think of this as feeling like you're in a sandstorm, right? And it's just buffeting and things are coming from every direction. Understand, that is intentional. They are doing this because they don't want people to be able to get focused and respond. Why is that? Why all this noise? Why are they doing all these pieces at once? Because they want you to miss, not see, the driving force behind it. There is a driving force here. And the driving force is that billionaires like Elon Musk and a handful of the other cronies, they want giant tax cuts so that they can be even richer and so they can run this country. And they want regular folks, people who depend on a little help from the federal government, to be able to stay in a nursing home. People who need a little kid down the street from you who has a severe disability and he needs an aide to be able to be in a public school. They believe that the rich can get even more squeezed out of this country, and they can do it on the backs of everyone else in this nation. And they hope you won't see that, and they are wrong. We see it, and we will stop it. Yeah. I think of this as what we fight for. This is not just Republican versus Democrat, not anymore. This is a whole lot bigger than that. This is truly what we think our government is for, what we organize and get out there, why we vote, why we show up. The Republicans right now have completely caved in. It's Elon Musk and whatever he wants to do, and Donald Trump wants to name himself king. That's where they're in. We are the people who actually believe that we can build an America that doesn't just work for a handful at the top. We believe in an America where everybody gets a fighting chance. And what that ultimately means is that we make those investments so people can get it. We make the investment down in public education. We hear it from we make those investments in healthcare because healthcare is a basic human right. And we're in the fight to make those investments in housing so everyone has an opportunity to buy a home and build some security. I'm here because I'm an optimist. And yeah, this tests me. And I get it. But I'm still an optimist. I'm an optimist because I truly see up close and personal what happens when we work together. I see the things we build, and I see the people right now here in Framingham, here in Massachusetts, who show up to say investing in our government is worth it. So we're going to stay in this topic. Thank you. Let's do some questions. Thank you. Sit up. Put it up.
All right, nice to see you all again. And now comes the time that we've all been waiting for, is our questions. So I will pull out 5 raffle tickets. You should all check your numbers. And once that happens, we will line up the 5 names up here. Our wonderful Randy will be able to hand me the microphone so you can ask the senator questions. So our first 5 numbers are, let's make it dramatic. All right. I was going to pull 5 at once. 527-9869. 9869. They all give the first. All right, bingo. Next one is 9862.
Let's put it.
527-9862. Do we have a? All right. Come on down and line up behind our first participant. Next one is 527-9928.
Yeah.
9928. And once your number is called, just come out over here and we're on 3. Number 4, 527-9898. 9898. All right, come on down. And last number. 527-9759. 9759. Looking for a hand. 9759. Come on down. And I have my marker moment. Come on down. All right, so I will turn it over to the senator.
Thank you, Priscilla. Can we hear it again for Priscilla? Thank you. Thank you, Grant. Appreciate it. Okay, someone's got a mic here. Randy? Hi. Oh, okay.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Tell me your name.
My name's Josh.
Hi, Josh. Where are you from?
From Berlin. So you're relatively
Atlanta for you.
so there.
Okay, Josh, I'm ready.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. With everything that you've mentioned, and the fact that, both domestically and foreign, and the fact that it's escalating at a really rapid pace. Have you thought about, or has there been any talk about a red line after which perhaps New England secession or independence?
Josh, you're just being a bad boy here. Look, I'm going to take this question seriously. I am not giving up on the Constitution of the United States of America. So we stay and we fight. We don't give them anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you bet. Take care, Josh. Okay, who we got next? Who we got next?
Wait. Hi, my name is Steve. And
Hi, Steve.
I'm here in Framingham. I came here from Washington, D.C., and I worked for the federal government for over 20 years under the Health and Human Services. And right now, there's a lot of things happening, and I'm having a hard time sleeping at night because we just don't know what's going to happen about our jobs, and people are getting fired left and right. And they're talking about stopping remote work. And I'm wondering, what's happening on the federal level in order to protect the remote workers around the country?
Okay, thank you, Steve. And can we just do one more time? I want to make sure that Steve saw it. Thank you for your work, Steve. So I'm going to be blunt. No, we don't know. We don't know, and that is the point. This is maximum terrorization, minimum following the law, and then just think of it as more sand in the sandstorm. That's what's going on here right now. So part one is, I want to go back to, we're in the courts because there are laws about what's involved in laying people off, what's involved in the rights that workers have. The Trump administration, I will be clear, they're going at this multiple ways. You try to fire a whole bunch of people at once, it overwhelms the system, right? The whole system is set up that first you go to a labor board, but that's one at a time. And obviously that's not the place we are. So we're going to keep fighting this out in the courts. We also are going to keep fighting it out in Congress. And to try to push back. We're going right now into what's called budget reconciliation. And before you fall asleep from my saying that, understand this is where the rubber hits the road on federal dollars and how those federal dollars get spent. And part of that will be people who are working for our government. So that's going to be part of the fight. I know that doesn't help you today or tomorrow, but at least I hope throws a little bit of a lifeline out there. But it takes me back to my ask from you. And I hope that means Steve and everybody who's in Steve's position will please, please, please tell these stories. Go online and tell what kind of work you do and how long you've done it and why it matters to you. You know, this is a moment when all of the work we do collectively together is under threat. It is also a moment when we have a chance to go back to the American people and say, here's what is being done to help us build a stronger country. Yeah, you know, you get on that airplane and you confidently fly off into the sky. That's a federal worker who inspected that airplane. It's a federal worker who wrote those rules. It's a federal worker who watches those planes and that lets they safely back on the ground. You have anything wrong with you in America today, I mean physically. You have a knee replacement. We just lived through one of those. My husband is now the bionic man. Had a knee replacement. You have a loved one who is undergoing cancer treatment. You have someone in your family who has a long-term illness. Believe me, there is somewhere in that chain that it is researchers who were paid by the federal government who help bring the treatments that keep you up and running today. I could go on. I want to get to the rest of the questions, but that's why I need to underscore. Anyone who is a federal worker, including you, Steve, and anyone who benefits and sees how you benefit from federal workers and the work they do, please go tell your stories. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
This is a
Tell me your name.
Oh, Dan Barstow.
Hi, Dan. Where are you from?
Stowe.
Okay, good to see Dan from Stowe. Okay, Dan.
This is a terrifying moment in our nation's history. The coup taking place internally, it's like London when The Nazis were carpet bombing, and we're now having our own government carpet bombed. So I'd like to go to your point about this is way beyond Republicans versus Democrats. This is all Trump victims fighting back. So how do we make a movement around all Trump victims fighting back that isn't just Democrats versus Republicans?
Okay, so great question. And a big part of that story lies in the stories. You know, Democrats and Republicans get cancer, right? Democrats and Republicans, by the way, work for the federal government. Democrats, there we go, Democrats and Republicans teach in public schools. Democrats and Republicans fight our fires. So I see this as this is the moment where we really put grassroots to work. We bring people in with the specificity of the story, bring them in here, not here. Saying one more time how terrible Donald Trump is not likely to get us one more person in this movement. I happen to believe it, but then again, I've already voted against him. Right? You realize. But so I think this is why it's my first ask. We are at that moment. We are at this is not the end point, it's this moment. We are trying to pull as many people into this fight. And the way we pull them in, do you have an RV group that likes to visit the national parks? There'll be a lot of Republicans and Democrats in that. Bring them in, because the more people see, oh, that's a problem, right? Yeah, I'm all for cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, but I don't think telling our park rangers that they have to leave and we have to shut our parks is cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. I don't think telling cancer researchers to say, yeah, it's cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. So that's the answer for me right now, Darren. And as we build it, as we get more, then we can move it up the chain, but it's got to start there. Okay, thank you, Dan, and thank you for your work.
I'm Rosemary from Watertown.
Hi, Rosemary from Watertown. Good to see you.
Representing Mike Farlow from Arlington, Cambridge, and Brookline.
Okay.
With questions. So, two sort of related questions. One is, how are you trying to work with Republicans to get them to the table on some of these issues? And what will make Republicans grow a spine? You see Mitch McConnell now has nothing to lose and some people now. But what will make some of these come to the table?
So I have to tell you on the spine question, man, this is a part of research we really need to I don't understand how they can strike around with no spine, but they do. So I do this both ways. One is I'm just trying to embarrass the hell out of the Republicans. Straight at, when I'm in these committee hearings, I look straight at Republicans across the aisle who, frankly, I believe are deeply embarrassed by these nominees. Not all of them. There are a couple of hot dogs over there who are not embarrassed at all. But there are a lot that are. And so I just keep pushing it back. So the new standard for Secretary of Health and Human Services is you're anti-science, you traffic in conspiracy theories, and you make big money off it, right? That's the new standard. Because I want them to feel some pain around this. We got to do this. Folks do. When they talk about people living in their own bubbles, that includes people who are elected officials. And they need to hear from all of us about what's wrong. So that's part of it. But the second part is really the answer I gave to Dan. And that is the highly specific. So, yes, I am furious with how you have voted over these nominees. I am furious that you have not spoken up about Donald Trump. But we have to address flood insurance, and I've got a really damn good idea on that. And that's how you pull it in, right? we have a housing crisis in Massachusetts. Guess what? They're having housing crises in some of the red states as well. And they want to figure out a way that they can get some more housing. This is just a part. So I got a lot of good ideas, and I'm willing to do these one-on-one. I don't try to embarrass you when you are working with me on a housing project or on flood insurance, and to try to pull the demand. So those are my two best tools on this, and that's what I try to do. But thank you. It's a good question. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
Tell me your name.
My name is Adrian.
Hi, Adrian.
Yes, I'm originally from the Netherlands. 6 years ago, I also became a U.S. citizen. So my question is about security architecture with Europe and NATO. Of course, I think we all saw what happened at the Munich Security Conference. Some countries come part in and changing the whole setup. My question to you is there still room for you in Congress, in the Senate, to push back and change and make this, I understand that the Europeans have to, do their own part, but is there still room for some pushback from Europe?
Adrian, I will make my own room. Look, I may not win these fights, but I am damn sure that you don't get what you don't fight for. So on the question specifically that you raise, yes, I am in that fight. Because of the way the Senate's organized, I'm in the armed services part of that fight. We've got others who are in other parts of the policy fight. But at the end of the day, what Donald Trump is trying to pull by cozying up to Putin, yes. I am stunned that he is doing this. But here's the part I want everybody to think about. And that is, yes, he has lots of power. Yes, he is the president. Yes, he's gotten to name his people who have sworn loyalty in their words to the Constitution, but it appears, in fact, to Donald Trump personally, he doesn't seem to have much tolerance for blowback. Does anyone remember the 25% tariff against Canada? Whoa, we're definitely going after him, chest beating, right? Stock market goes down, and people around the country say, what? We're going to the Canadians? The polite people? When we get our maple syrup, what's wrong with you? And what happens? Justin Trudeau promises to do exactly what he's always done. And he mentions the Mounties, and Donald Trump says, well, won that one, and walks off stage. Think about that. It's not to say he won't come back. It's not to say he won't try again. But it really is the case that it matters what you say. It matters. It doesn't just matter what I say. It matters what you say. Because the more you say, I'm done with this. No, we are not going to abandon our allies in Europe. No, we are not going to knuckle under the ground or no, we are not a country of appeasement, of a dictator. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you for the question, and thank all of you for reminding us where the power lies. All right, one more. Here we go.
Thank you for being a local voice for us where we need it the most. Your optimism, your courage is giving us strength. And I can't express enough how much fear for my daughter about climate, fear for my other daughter about medical research as a young doctor, fear about my wife for her nursing home patients, fear for my Brazilian neighbors who can't go to church or school or the hospital. Thank you for that. My question to you is more local. John Stefanini, I'm sorry for Framingham. Hi, Framingham. I met you first at Jerry Neslet's house at your first campaign meeting when you ran for office. My question is about our hospital. It's owned by a for-profit Texas company, and they're taking every advantage. And I worry about all of the things under the radar that Trump is going to allow to happen. And among them, we're closing our maternity unit, we're impacting our local care, we're seeing our downtown businesses are down 30%. Our churches are having empty pews. Our hospitals, people aren't going to their appointments. What do we do to protect our hospital, to make sure that the cuts in Medicaid and everything else that are coming down, that these for-profit owners just don't use it as an excuse to say, goodbye.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to start with the fact that private equity and these giant corporations have moved in to our healthcare space, and they're moving in everywhere. They started, many of you know, they started with department stores. Anyone remember Sears, Kmart, right? And got rolled up. And basic Toys R Us, one of my faves. It started out that they just basically stole the pension plans that the employees had built up, sold off the real estate, hold out any assets that were not nailed down, squeezed whatever value they could out of the name while it was still there as the shelves emptied out, and then just left behind a hollowed out, rusted shell. And bad enough to do that in the department stores, but they've just moved from one to another since then. Nursing homes. The nursing homes have been purchased, many of them, in what they call roll-ups. And by the way, you know what the data showed? The nursing homes that were owned by private equity at the time of COVID versus the nursing homes that were not. Nursing homes that were owned by private equity had a 10% higher mortality rate. So we're talking life and death here, not just money. And where have they gone from nursing homes? One of the latest, they're going after funeral homes. They're going after veterinary practices. Anybody have a pet and seen? Some of you may not know because it doesn't change the name to private equity has now taken over your veterinary practice over and over, and they've gone after our hospitals. And we've watched the consequences. They're going after, by the way, they're going after doctors' practices. They're going after our insurance business. They're going after the specialty medical practices, the centers that do dialysis, all of it to wring an extra buck out for themselves and to leave a hollowed out shell behind. Now, I've been fighting private equity for a long time. I have introduced bill after bill in Congress. Each time I get a few more people along with me, but not enough to change the laws. I'm going to stay after that. But here's the one part I want to offer two little glimmers of hope. One is the small one. When you say you're worried about what they're doing under the radar screen, understand this. I'm also under the radar screen. We stay on these guys. Some of these guys can now recognize my phone when it shows up on their caller ID, reminding them what the law is and how here in Massachusetts, at least, we expect them to follow the law and staying after these guys. I also want to give a big shout out on this to the unions because it is the unions and it's all the workers, but can we just say especially, God bless the nurses. I don't want to give away too much, but I just want to tell you, in the way chains of phone calls sometimes work, is that there's a local nurse in a hospital who calls the nursing rep, who calls my office, the nurse that calls me, I get on it, and then I have somebody, I get to call in Washington, and my staff is also calling the staff of the people in Washington. So we are working out where you can see us, but I just want you to know, you are not alone. We stay on this, and the power of being organized really pays off when we're fighting back against the takeover of our hospitals, our healthcare system, and every other damn thing in this country that's of value. It's So, Priscilla, I just want to say again, thank you very, very, very much for being here. You are so lucky to have such a terrific mayor. Charlie, stand up again. Did Charlie leave? Oh, there he is. Oh, Priscilla says we get to do 2 more questions. I thought we were wrapping up here. Okay, go, Priscilla. Rick. Oh, you're calling me.
All right, T-Work. So in order to keep things orderly, we are going through the ticket process, and I have 2 more tickets.
I have 5 stores out there. There's no black work. We end on that.
Yes.
The tip store. Come. It's just boring. Yeah. Oh, he's coming down. Okay, well, look, Riley's coming down. Anybody want to do selfies afterwards? We'll do selfies. I'll go ahead and tell you the setup. If you're here with children, come to the front of the line. Kids have been waiting long enough. So, okay. Can we do it? Here we go. Come on down. Anybody who wants to stay and talk, I'm going to meet you. Come here. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Doug. I'm in Massachusetts.
I'm sorry, your name's Matt?
Doug. Sorry.
Doug. Sorry.
And thank you so much for hosting this town hall. I want to talk about the state of science and then and I was going to go that way, and I saw that amazing letter you wrote to NSF, National Science Foundation, where I worked, and NIH. And I'm going to pivot on, this dismantling of our hardworking federal workers. And the federal workers have never been this streamlined and this talented as it is today. In your letter to NIH and NSF, failed though to mention the impacts of illegally terminating 100,000 feds over the past 2 weeks as a mechanism, 1, to dismantle our government, and 2, potentially repopulate the federal government with 54,000 pre-vetted pro-Trump army of people ready for Fed service. A new hire from this army will be a person making science-funding decisions with a political agenda and not a scientific agenda. So Representative Bio from Virginia made a stance against the illegal terminations as it impacts many workers in this district. Yet there are feds in every state, like Steve here as well, behind me. I was one. After 3.5 years of service at the National Science Foundation, I received my termination this past Tuesday at 11 o'clock a.m. Me, along with 167 of my colleagues, were all terminated without cause. And unbeknownst to me, NSF placed me back on probationary status last week and then subsequently fired me. If it's the economics of the state versus the people that matter to you, I ask, how does this impact mass? A limited workforce at NSF and NIH jeopardizes the robust merit review process and proposes $4 billion that directly funnel into the state for top-notch research and researchers in this state of Massachusetts. I'm scared for this nation. I'm scared for the unelected people who are impacting Massachusetts families and their financial security. I'm scared it will impact what states will get funding moving forward. Millions of Americans have dedicated their careers to this country and are suffering from decisions made by unelected people. So I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about this triage that's happening. And my ask is, you are an elected official. You have the power. You are amazing. So what has been your response to these illegal terminations, and how do we make sure that they don't continue, and that 5,400 people that are going to get fired on Monday at the TOD, it does not ever happen.
So you've heard it better than I can say it. Front lines, what it means to have federal workers who are able to do their jobs. People who don't want to do politics, people who actually want to do the work. They want to do the work to do the research, to keep us healthy. They want to do the work to keep us safe when they're in the skies. They want to do the work in our military, to be able to carry out the orders to do the work to keep our country safe around the world. They want to do the work. They want to do the work in every department in government. Right now, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, co-presidents, think they can lay these people off. They think they can ignore the law, and more importantly, they think they can ignore the safety and the future of the United States of America, and they are wrong. They are wrong, they are wrong, they are wrong. What can we do? I am not giving up on the Constitution of the United States. We start in the courts. When the executive breaks the law, we go to the courts. We are not winning 100% of the time. They were never designed to take on this kind of overflow numbers, this kind of lawlessness, this kind of brazen in your face. Donald Trump wants to be a king, and Elon Musk is the only one trying to elbow him aside, saying, no, he's the one who's the king. We are not going to stand by and let this happen. So we go to the courts because that is what the Constitution requires. I hold all of my Republican colleagues feet to the fire as much as possible in the United States Senate. But the key is right here in this room in Framingham, Massachusetts. And in rooms like this, in North Carolina, and in Alaska, and in every other state in the Union, we have to push back. Trump thinks he can get away with this, and if we let him, he will. So it is up to us to say no. We will tell our stories, we will organize, and we will not let Donald Trump and Elon Musk run this nation. So look, I understand people are frustrated, people are angry. You have every right to be frustrated and angry. We built a system for more than 200 years that is based on a fundamental premise about law. It's based on a fundamental premise about democracy. I didn't like it when Donald Trump won last time, but my response was to get out and protest, the biggest damn protest in the history of the world. My response was to fight back, not to tell a big lie, but to fight back with the tools given to us. And yeah, it looks even harder right now. It looks harder because we're in a sandstorm, because they figured out that they can hide what they're doing by just doing tons of it, right? It is our job to see through the sandstorm, to see that this is about a handful of billionaires who are trying to take this country over and make it work for themselves and to wring out more dollars, more value from everybody else in this nation. That's the play they're running. They were running it as late as 4:30 in the morning yesterday morning. I know. I was in that fight on the floor of the Senate. They're going to keep running it. And if we don't make them pay a price for that, then we could lose it all. We are not going to lose it all because we are going to stay in this fight. And we are going to make certain that Donald Trump and Elon Musk feel the pushback from all of us that we do not want an America where we fire our researchers. We do not want an America that politicizes our army. We do not want an America that says a handful of rich folks are better than everyone else. We want an America that works for all of us, and we are willing to fight for it.